the real big piece of news related to movies this week, there's been a few trailers and things, nothing particularly notable, but the biggest piece of news is of the uh, in the wake of the shootings and all of that. The Blumhouse horror movie The Hunt has been indefinitely shelved.
Now, Alan, there's a little bit more to the headline
Yeah, I
out
figured
of
I'd let you take that one.
yeah. Now, yeah, I think this has been kind of cut as a black and white issue, like, oh, it's the gun violence. And no, the whole conversation around this has been interesting. So in the movie about maybe a week or two ago, it leaked that the people being hunted are deplorables, as they've kind of quoted calling them, which is kind of a name used for a lot of the Trump voting stuff back in like 2016. Yeah. And the people hunting them, as they've described them as liberal elite. That's where I think the core issue has, because then, like, a lot of people on Fox News were complaining that we're hunting liberal, we're hunting conservatives, and I think this is where the controversy really got bad. I think the gun violence hasn't helped, but I think the idea that they're putting two political parties together is where the bigger issue is, and that's kind of where I've had my personal issue. Is I had no problem when this was just a group of rich people hunting a group of random other people. I know that's not a great thing to be like, yeah, I love watching that, but I don't think, putting two political parties against each other at this time right now, it just felt so in bad taste and not in the fun, like, let's start a conversation. It felt like shock art clickbait kind of thing. And that's what I was more worried about. This was not going to start conversations, but just be more drama than we needed. And I think the gun violence stuff has been kind of piled in, because I've had people on my Facebook be like, oh, well, you support John Wick. That has a lot of gun violence. I'm like, John Wick isn't hunting a group of conservatives or liberals. He's hunting, I don't know what he is anymore. Those John Wick movies have digressed from dog revenge to taking down crime syndicates. But I think there's differences, and I think it's been a hard debate. I think.
This sounds more like a conservative persecution fantasy than anything else, though. This sounds like something Donald Trump would really get behind if that's the case. Like, yeah, this is how it is, where the liberal elite are killing off you and me, us normal, deplorable conservatives.
And that's exactly what it is, and he's kind of used it. And I never want anyone to ever feel like a martyr.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this movie has kind of made people, is like, look, they're so violent. They want to take our guns, but they make these kind of movies. And I don't think this is where everyone's like, well, Universal censoring these people's art. How dare they take this away from us? And I'm like, first off, were y'all really going to see it? This was going to make $20 million on opening weekend. Calm down. Second, this isn't the kind of conversations we should be having. Yes, gun violence is a issue, but that wasn't really the issue here. It's the political stuff. It's the idea of making these people victims. Again, if we would have flipped it, if this was a group of conservatives hunting minorities and or gay people, would we really be like, yeah, let's really have this movie be released? It's a weird debate. It's not easy. I don't agree or disagree with a lot of it, but it's a mess.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is going to be really, I don't know, maybe a hot take. When you
Okay.
told me that that was the gimmick, was that they had these liberals hunting conservatives, I really want to see that now. Not because, like, I'm personally, I lean liberal, but not because, oh my God, I want to see them get shot. Because that's the exact opposite of what you normally think of when you see this type of movie. Is you think it's going to be like the conservative elite hunting down those who are less fortunate, yada yada yada. So whenever you said that it was like completely spun around, I was like, wow, that is not what I expected from this film. So it is interesting to see that play on the dynamic, because you talk about how if this was a movie where it was conservatives hunting down minorities, Bloomhouse already has 4 Purge films, and that's exactly what that's about.
Okay, that is a bit of a different argument. They have devolved into, especially with the first Purge, um, they have devolved into that, but I do think they start off with, it's an American issue. The Purge isn't just affecting one group. It is a class issue because the rich people have better houses and stuff, but it's more of a class issue than it is a race or a political issue. And I think it's hard, and I think it's a weird, messy debate. I just think right now, The Hunt coming out, I'm like, do we need this extra heat on Hollywood? Do we need this extra heat to feel more arguments? I don't think it was necessary at this exact moment.
I mean, me personally, I just want the heat to come to take away some of the heat from video games because that's really stuck in my craw right now.
I know, but we're in the 80s.
I know, but the music
We're in
is
the
much
80s where
worse.
it's goddamn horror movies and video games fighting for who's worse. It's not fun again. Like,
Well, just because, well, no, I did know. I realized when you started talking about it, I know exactly which story this was. I don't really have anything particularly exciting to add other than it kind of reminds me a little bit. I'm not condoning gun violence on any side, obviously, but kind of it would have been a bit like how the West Wing was this liberal shelter during the Bush administration. Surely this would be that kind of, they're liberals. Watch something like that. But again, I mean, I don't know. That might be totally the wrong way of interpreting it, but it would never happen. That's the thing.
yeah,
That's kind of the irony. Liberal people are not going to go on a gun rampage because generally they don't agree with guns.
Yeah, it's this high fantasy. I get what they're doing. I just feel like I had no problem with the movie. The trailers originally sold it as this one girl in the group of the hunted people kind of taking control back and being like, no, the hunted will become the hunters. That was the original selling pitch of it. So once this whole political angle kind of leaked from it, I got nervous. And then the original title was literally called Red State versus Blue State. It was,
Jesus.
yeah. Again, there's been movies called Red State. We had that one Kevin Smith directed about the religious cult. It just felt like this came out just to poke the bear instead of trying to start a conversation. And I shouldn't be the one to judge which art is allowed to do whatever art's allowed to do. It just felt like this was a weird one that I'm like, do we really need this right now? If not, just release it straight to like Netflix and be done with it. I mean, the movie got more conversation than it was going to, no matter what, if it was just released normally.
Yeah.
So good for them.
I watched the trailer when it was released, like 3 days before they canned the film, and because I had heard nothing about it up until that point. And I watched the trailer and I thought it looked interesting just because I like a good revenge story slash, hunter becomes the hunted type thing. It's fine for me. That's just the type of movie I like. But I liked watching the fact that in the trailer, like 7 of this group that's being hunted were already killed off in the trailer.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, I wonder what happens here. I guess 8 people start off and 7 die. So the chick wins. So I already know the whole thing off that trailer. But
And this was going to be no battle royale. So again, I like your hunt. The hunters become the hunted. But I was like, but was this really going to be worth all this?
probably not.
No.
We need a battle royale film.
Well, we tried with the Hunger Games, and
Yeah. This will get dropped to streaming probably before the year's out.
Just like The Interview.
Yeah. Something like that.
Very similar issue to The Interview. Actually, wow, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I don't know, and I think that what happened with The Interview gave it a lot more eyes on it than it would have if it wasn't for the whole Sony issue. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. This could be the best thing that ever happened in this film.
Oh, I mean, yeah, yeah, absolutely. This would have gotten dropped, and nobody would have gone to see it. I mean, it would have made probably a little bit of money, but not like it's going to come out better for this. Just because it's a story, at least there's something behind it now.